So I've finally seen The Wolf of Wall Street, and this was my most anticipated movie for the end of the year. As soon as the fall season hit, I was like, man, this is the one I gotta see. Leonardo DiCaprio, who is one of the best, if not the best actors going today, in my opinion, and Martin Scorsese, one of my favorite directors of all time. They've done 4 collaborations before this movie, and every one of those I adored. Like, there are some of my favorite movies, and one of them is actually in my top 5 movies of all time. I just love it when these two do a collaboration together. And for the 5th movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, I find that it's going to separate people into 3 groups. One of them is going to be people that just do not get this movie at all, and they're not going to enjoy any minute of it. And I can see that. Then there's going to be people that are kind of in the middle, where they enjoyed some aspects but didn't get into everything, and not everything clicked for them. And also one category, which I also get, of people that will adore every minute of this. They will see reasoning and purpose for every scene, and they'll love every bit of it and say it's one of the best movies of all time. Now, I thought I was going to be in that latter category, but I actually ended up being in the middle. This is the first time that Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio have been in a movie together, have worked together in a movie, and I didn't end up loving it. It's just, there are some aspects that I enjoyed and some that I didn't. So the movie is about this man going to Wall Street, and it's based on a true story about how he slowly makes his rise to owning Wall Street to an extent, and also then becoming addicted to sex, drugs, and money. And they kind of try to portray that his real addiction is money, because he says, he says that as he's smoking a lot of cocaine, that I'm not actually addicted to drugs, it's this, and he rolls out a $100 bill. And I was like, okay, so it's going to be his addiction to money. But the movie shows so much sex and drugs that it really overshadows his money, his love for money. Because you see it so often, it's so over the top. And they said that they were glad that they were able to do exactly what they wanted for this movie and show the over the topness. But when I say that there is too much sex and drugs, it's a bad thing. To say, if a guy saying that there's too much sex and it overshadows and takes away from the film, that's a bad thing, in my opinion. Some people will get it, some people will say that there's a reason for that, and to an extent, doing drugs and sex is the reason, is kind of linked to money, because if you have lots of money, then what are you going to do? Those are the things that you would go to. But in my opinion, there's a way to do it tastefully and to an extent a little bit more classy. And that's what I was expecting with, Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese. The movie Flight with Denzel Washington is a perfect example of this, because Denzel Washington's character is addicted to getting drunk and to an extent getting high as well, but it's more so about being drunk. And the movie isn't overdone with, just Denzel getting drunk and wasted. That's not the entire movie. They show it a few times and you know that he's addicted. That's all you need to see it a few times throughout the movie. Go back to it every once in a while. It means more. The fewer times, less is more. And then you really start feeling for his character because he's trying to stop, and you start going, I know you have your demons, but don't do it, man. You really start feeling for the character and you don't want him to continue. With Leonardo DiCaprio, I never had that moment where I got invested into his character and said, don't do it. I know that he shouldn't be doing all the sex and drugs that he's doing and all the illegal activities to get the money, but I never felt at a point where Leo, don't do it. I never felt that connection with his character. He acted perfectly in this movie, or very well. But it's not his best performance. I've seen much better performances, at least 5. Like, that's a lot. And I could see that when they go for, if he gets nominated for Best Actor, when they have the highlight where they show one of the scenes where it's really a moment where he's acting. I don't think it's going to be one of the moments where he's really hyper and really, shouting out of the top of his lungs, or really high or drunk or wasted. It's going to be one of the moments where he kind of slowed things down. And there wasn't enough of that in this movie. It's just a high-paced Leo, just so excited all the time and so over the top. And there are ways that I can enjoy that, but it's not amazing acting. I've seen much better from Leo. I've seen him, use his voice in a manner where he's excited or much more into it, and that's... it's not my thing. Like The Departed, I think, he gets really, scenes are intense and he uses his voice, but there's more heart to it, and it felt like he was really acting. This is just over the top, gratuitous, and that's kind of the point of the movie too, but there's a way to do it correctly. In Flight with Denzel Washington, I think they hit it perfectly with that. With this one, I just didn't get it with it, and I know I'm kind of going on a bit with this and going in circles, but I will say Leo's acting is pretty good. Not the best he's ever done. I wish that we would have seen more when he slowed things down, although I will say that one of my favorite scenes from this movie is when he goes to the country club and he is completely high as a kite. That scene, not spoiling anything, that is one of the best scenes of this movie, and he did a very good job with that. Also, if this movie didn't have Martin Scorsese directing in it, and Leo in the main acting role, I really don't think I would be giving it the rating I'm about to give it, because it would probably be much more mediocre than the rating I'm about to give it. And Matthew McConaughey. If Matthew McConaughey would have been more in this movie, definitely I would have probably given it a little bit more if he would have continued acting like he did for the few times that he did show up, because he was so good. This is probably, from what I've seen, I still haven't seen Dallas Buyers Club, but this is probably Matthew McConaughey's best role. And if he would have been in it more and continued acting like he did, I would give him the nod for Best Supporting Actor. A lot of people are saying Jonah Hill's good in this movie. To me, he was a negative. I particularly did not like his character. He does act different than he normally does from his other roles, and he's doing a little bit better, but he was annoying to me. I did not like his character. I liked him in Moneyball. He was pretty good in that one, but still not best supporting material at all. So anyway, I will give this movie a 7 out of 10, and it's cringing on the 7, going towards lower, but I'm gonna give it a 7 because of Leo's performance, the directing from Scorsese, and Matthew McConaughey. Man, I wish that man would have been more in this movie because he was so good, and the improvisation of that was amazing. So 7 out of 10. You're going to be divided. It really depends on the kind of person that you are. If you like Scorsese's directing, if you like Leonardo DiCaprio, watch a trailer. I'm kind of leaning towards watching it on, you know, a cheap night or a movie rental, not full price and not buying it on Blu-ray first day when it's on, you know, going for $25 or whatever, in my opinion. So 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching. You've been Bearded in Beardage.